Good morning, everybody. Nice bright and early start today, 8 o'clock, certainly 8 o'clock in the UK. I can see we've got a few from far afield as well. So yes, welcome and thank you for all joining. This is my just little recap of yesterday and look forward for today. And then we're going to roll straight into the BMC keynote at 8:15. So I'm going to just start with that recap, as I said. So welcome. It's day 3. I can't believe we're already here. All that planning. It's quite entertaining, really. Over 1,300 registered delegates now. Last night, the final count was 1,306, I believe, delegates and speakers registered for the 3 days. We're seeing not all 1,300 turn up in one day, which is not unsurprising because people will pick and choose what sessions they want to, what they're looking to attend. But the feedback so far from the speakers and the attendees and the streams chairs has been absolutely fabulous. Everybody seems to really enjoying it. We've managed to keep the technical issues down to a minimum, which is a great thing. But as I said, can you believe we're here at day 3 already? Yes, takes a lot of work, takes a lot of planning. Great team that sort this out. But the proof of all of this is how many people actually show up. And there's no point at doing this if people don't turn up. So as you can see here, 44 countries represented. With 860 different attendees over the 2 days, from as far afield as Singapore and Qatar, Japan, Australia, Czech Republic. So we've got a real broad audience here. I've had a couple of questions around the access to the session recording. So we have been recording and will continue to record all of the sessions today. What Gino and Megan will do at the end of this is they'll edit those recordings for them, clean them up, and then we will load them up to the Vimeo website so you can download them. You're only allowed to get to those sessions on Vimeo, A, if you've registered for the conference, and B, if you're a GSE member in the UK or another GSE country. So anybody listening to this, you obviously qualify. If you get any problems, we ask that you drop us an email, and we will endeavour to fix that for you fairly quickly. Day 2, another 46 sessions. So we're delivering a lot of great content here over those first 2 days. And then we wrapped up yesterday with a great keynote from Greg Lotko. I'm not too sure many of you would have noticed, but in the video, Greg was sitting down. And when he was live, he was actually sitting down. That's because, unfortunately, Greg has broken both of his legs. So I'd like to personally thank him for taking the time to record that when he's obviously in some discomfort, and obviously attend in person when he must have been in discomfort. He told me yesterday he's going to go and get some plates fitted into his leg. He tells an elaborate story of how he injured himself skiing, and that's what he wants to tell all his friends and family. Unfortunately, he fell down the stairs. So a massive shout out to Greg and the Broadcom team for that, because that's in my book above and beyond what anybody should be doing for their employer, let alone GSE. Mentioned it yesterday, mentioned it the day before. All of the social media links. Look, all of the great feedback we've been having from people. Whether it's been on our WhatsApp chats, whether it's been in the feedback forms. Share that on social media for us, and let's spread the word. It'd be great, the next time we do, we plan our virtual conference, that we're looking to get towards 1,500, even 2,000 registrations. Why not? Let's be bold. As Greg said in his keynote last night, Mainframe's not just about hardware and software, it's about the people. And we've got a great community here. And we should really be proud of what we've got. So let's share that. Let's stand at the top of the hill and shout out loud and wide. We're Mainframers and we're proud of it. And we've got a great community here to help us, as I've mentioned over the last couple of days. We really do want your feedback. Every session has a 2-digit session code. I presented yesterday, my session was 6F, 6 Foxtrot. Okay, so you can see the link, you drop in the session code at the end. We've asked the chairs at the end of each session to drop the link into the feedback for that session into the chat, and then go and fill in the feedback for us. It'd be really appreciated. Good, positive, or indifferent, where we want that feedback. It just helps us, get better. Again, chilies. The more chilies, the more technical the agenda. And if there are no chilies, probably not technical. If it's got 3 chilies, probably more technical, and a lot more detail. I have to hold my hand up and say I forgot to put the chilies on my intro session yesterday. I'd have probably put a 2 on it, because we've got screens and screens of assembler code and recs for people to look at. So that's an indicator from the speaker as just how technical these things are. I cannot thank the team enough who have supported us over the last couple of days and will again support us today. So Gino and Megan for the great technical support, and we'll come on to Alan the cat in a moment, and obviously to all the stream chairs and speakers. Really looking forward to the 3rd day. It was obviously a tough day for Alan yesterday, because he faded a little bit towards the end, but he's ready for today. So we've got a little bit of a pause now, so I'm just going to pop up this holding screen, because at 8:15 I'm going to play a pre-recorded session from John McKenney, who's the Senior VP and General Manager for Mainframe at BMC Software. John actually presented in person at the November conference and got the Best Speaker Award. I actually met him a couple of weeks ago in person, and I had the pleasure of handing him over his Best Speaker Award, which he was truly thrilled at. So I'm just going to pause there. I'm going to turn the camera off and I'm going to mute. And what we'll do is at 8:15, I will press the play button on John's keynote. But have a fabulous day. Enjoy the last session. And as I said, the last sessions today. And as I said, give us your feedback as much as you possibly can to help us plan the in-person in November. And we haven't decided whether we're doing a virtual conference in 24 in February. Looking at the feedback we've had, we probably will. So help us plan that. So feedback, if you don't mind. So just going to pause now. Going to give you 6 minutes, and then at 8:15 I'll play John's recording. John's not going to attend in person. He's based in Houston, Texas. So any questions we will gather from the chat window, and we will pass them to John, and we will get responses from John for you. So just going to go quiet for a few minutes, and I'll be back at 8:15. Right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 8:15. It gives me great pleasure to start this pre-recorded keynote from John McKenney, Senior VP General Manager of IZOT at BMC. The keynote is Make Change Your Advantage by Improving the Mainframe Developer Experience. Here we go. Thank you.
Hi, I'm John McKenney, and I am the Senior Vice President and General Manager for BMC Software. And it really is my pleasure to be with you again today virtually to share a presentation. And today I'm going to be talking about how you can make change your advantage by improving the mainframe developer experience. So this is the session, session K4, and let's dive in and get started. As I said, this is me in case you couldn't see me on the video. Hopefully it's on and working. But as I said, I want to talk about making change your advantage. Change is all around us. And change is one of those things that we can take control of. And when we do, we truly can make it your advantage. If you happen to be at the live session last fall in Whittleberry Hall, I talked about how you can make change your advantage broadly. And I spoke about these 4 areas. From BMC, this is really where we're focused on helping you and your organizations continue to improve and deliver more value to your company and to your organization. So we talk about, you can make changes to improve the development experience. And that's really what I'm going to talk about today. But why do you do that? It's because you want to be able to innovate faster for your organization. You want to have a competitive advantage. And the way you do that is by bringing out new capabilities and new services to your end customers. Another way that you can make change advantage in your environment is to automate everywhere possible, right? Automation is how you can drive greater efficiencies, how you can improve quality, how you can improve the resilience in your environment. And that is another thing that you can make change is to help you improve the resiliency of your environment, right? The mainframe is the most critical component, many would say, within your overall hybrid IT infrastructure. So it's more important than ever that you have the highest levels of resiliency in that environment. And there are some changes that you can make to absolutely make that happen. And then finally, look at how you are protecting your business. What are you doing to secure your systems and your data from insider and outsider threats? There are probably a number of changes that you can make that will enable you to better secure what is the most secureable platform in the world, but there are some changes that you can make to make your platform more secure than ever before. And we would be happy to share more about automation everywhere, improving your resilience and protecting your business. But today I really want to focus on what you can do to innovate faster across your environment. So one of the ways that you can do that is you can focus on improving the developer experience, right? If we think about that, your developers are who are developing and delivering new business services. They're adding new capabilities and new features to existing business services. Many of your organizations have hundreds, if not thousands, of different applications. And if you want to think about it, how you can innovate faster is helping every one of those developers be more productive. And one of the best ways that you can do that is to really focus on providing a modern developer experience. And in fact, there's a stat here on the slide that you probably read already that says that most engineers, spend 70% of their time in that development experience environment, right? So thinking about how you can improve it is going to improve the productivity of them and the applications they're developing and responsible for. So why, well, you might be asking, well, why is developer experience important? And I think it breaks down to 2 things, right? You either have happy developers or you got unhappy developers. And there's a lot that goes into our happiness, I know, but if you think about it from your developer's perspective, happy developers are more efficient and more productive in the environment, just like we're all happier when, we're all more productive when we're happier. We're also happier when we're more productive. But it's also about they're able to develop and deliver higher velocity. They're able to get more capabilities done when they're developing. They're creating higher quality applications. They're able to deliver those things more frequently. And frankly, happier developers tend to stay with your organization longer. So if you're a manager responsible for teams, you know how important that is. And you know how difficult it is to go find a really talented developer that's going to have an impact on your organization. So that's why we believe the developer experience is so important. Well, what's the flip side, right? If you don't have a great developer experience, chances are, your developers might be, less happy than your counterparts. That might mean that you might be experiencing some deadlines that occasionally miss, or maybe you make the deadline, but the scope of what you intended to go into that specific release maybe was smaller. You might have poor quality code. You might have developers who are looking for better opportunities because, look, we all have choices, and maybe their preference would be to work in an environment where there's a more modern developer experience where they can be more productive. And so they might leave, right? So those are just some of the reasons, and I'm sure you can think of other reasons as to why the developer experience is so important. So what we think you should be focusing on is how can you modernize the mainframe developer experience, right? And so here's some numbers for you. On the right, organizations have reported a 175% increase in developer productivity when they're working with a modern developer experience platform. A couple of other stats on the left. Some organizations have seen a 600% increase in deployment frequency. I've talked to many clients who now are releasing into production multiple times a day because they have a modern integrated developer experience. And then another stat is some organizations reported they've been able to reduce by half the time it takes to onboard new hires because they're working with tools that are familiar with. They're working with a modern set of tools that chances are they've had some experience with, either as they were coming out of school or potentially working on other platforms where they're working and used to working with a modern tool set. So those are just a couple of the numbers behind, why working with a modern developer experience is really important. So you might be curious, what's our perspective, what's BMC's perspective on what it means to have a modern developer experience? What is DevX after all? Well, I think of it simply as this, right? Developer experience is when you have a positive experience for your developers such that they're able to do the things that they need to do day in and day out as they're writing code, editing code, debugging code, that makes it easier for them to do, and it makes it easier for them to be more productive and to really innovate for your organization. So we think about it as this way. It's really putting everything together at a developer's fingertips that makes it easier for them to do the things they need to do. And we think there are a few elements that a modern developer experience platform should include. One, it should have an environment that's integrated with all the tools that are necessary for them to create and deliver excellent code. It's a system of integrated tools that really removes, the friction points that slow things down and impedes their ability to innovate. We also believe it's part of an environment, an ecosystem that provides feedback to the developers and their teams on how and where they might be able to improve their quality immediately after they have saved their code changes. And finally, it's an environment that should be able to remove most of the manual tasks that maybe they're still doing today. So again, leveraging automation is part of the development process. So we think when you look at all of those things, that's what a modern developer experience should provide. And really, you think about how does that help, right? How does that help your organization? Well, greater efficiency leads to the ability to deliver more capabilities that you want to get out to your clients with the same team. When you're able to do that consistently over and over again, you're going to have teams that are far more productive. You're going to have happier teams, and you're going to have happier customers. From the individual developer experience, developer's perspective, right? They can focus on what they really like to do, which is to write great code. They can reduce some of the toil, the repetitive tasks that they prefer not to do. None of us like doing repetitive things. If we have a way that we can automate that, we want to do that. But it also enables them to work within a process that's much more predictable and frankly more reliable, so that they know that when they start working on or continue working on some of their code requirements, that they're going to be productive today and they're going to be productive tomorrow. And then from an operations perspective, once that handoff happens into production, from a DevOps perspective, the operations team can expect to see that, hey, they're going to see a reduction in the number of failures that are happening, because a modern developer experience is going to help your developers and your teams capture problems much earlier in the development process, such that they don't manifest themselves in your production environment. So that's going to make your operations team and your customers happier as well. So what are some of the things that you might want to be thinking about across your organization that could help you improve the developer experience that you have today? So let's talk about those, and I want to share a few things that BMC thinks about, right? So one is, hopefully by now, many of you are adopting or well on your way to adopting agile processes. We firmly believe that that is one of the foundational things that's required to create a modern developer experience. And you might be saying, well, why do I need to do agile? Well, if you think about it from, again, all of the benefits, you're able to deliver value sooner to your end clients because you are able to break down your work. You're able to get a more predictable delivery of capabilities into the market. If I think about our BMC mainframe teams as an example, our teams are all agile, and we release consistently on a quarterly basis every single quarter. We've been doing that for several years now. So every one of our clients knows that they're going to get new capabilities from BMC, and we're going to release those the first week of the first month of each quarter. That smaller iterative process gives developers faster feedback. And we all like that instant gratification. We all like to know as soon as possible that, hey, what I just worked on is working, or it's got a problem and I need to address it. But you know what? I've got it right away. I know what I was working on, and I have a better ability to solve that faster and more completely than if I have to wait days or weeks before I find out about a problem or error. It creates greater collaboration with the stakeholders, right? You have great alignment on what it is you're building, why you're building it. They get feedback as you're developing it through the cycle. And it helps your mainframe teams be in sync with the rest of the developer ecosystem, because almost assuredly, the rest of the platforms that are part of your hybrid IT environment have adopted agile processes. So there's no reason why your mainframe teams shouldn't be adopting agile processes. And again, there's a lot of great content out there from BMC and others that can help you on that as well. But that's a foundational element to creating a great developer experience. Another one is leveraging a modern integrated development environment, or an IDE, right? Developers need an integrated environment so they can edit their code, they can debug their code, they can test their code, all in a seamlessly integrated environment. Again, this is what creates that frictionless environment that I spoke of a moment ago. You want to provide the developers with a really, visually compelling and intuitive experience that helps them be more productive. You want to be able to automate more testing integrated into their development environment, right? So these are some of the things that are foundational. Agile, and you have to have an integrated development environment. And again, you should absolutely have that, and many organizations have their mainframe developers working in a modern IDE today. They've all moved on, right? Here's our beloved green screen. I started working, on the green screen back in 1981. I remember that very well, but you really should be putting that aside. Hopefully there's very few folks that are watching this where they're developers that this is still how they're developing code. Hey, yes, absolutely. You can be productive in developing code, and you can develop and deliver code. But sticking with that and providing that for your developers as the only platform with which they can develop code just isn't efficient, right? It's working like they did in 1981. You can only navigate with the keyboard, right? You got to have command lines that you got to memorize the command line keys. You can't visualize programs. You can't be as agile and multitasking if you have an integrated development environment. But let's be honest here, right? You have many developers who've been productive for many years. They're probably very familiar with it and very productive. But you also have a whole new generation of developers who are and have been trained on VS Code when they went to university. And they've been using VS Code or other integrated development environments, and they want to be productive. They would see this as going backwards, and frankly, they're not going to use it, and they're probably going to seek an employer who is going to provide them with a modern integrated development environment. And there again, there's no reason why you can't do that today. You absolutely can. So this is what a modern development environment looks like. This is using Visual Studio Code. You can use VS Code, you can use Eclipse, but this enables them to really nail their code completion. You got dynamic search capabilities, you got right-click menu functions, you got tabulated views, you've got everything that you need, that the developer needs to be productive in this environment, right? So they can understand where they are and quickly get to where they need to be and make the changes they need to be able to develop quality code and to push that forward into the development process. Other elements of that are to be able to really understand visually how that code is working. Maybe it's a developer that has responsibility for a new set of code that they've not had responsibility for. They weren't the original creator of that particular code element. So this helps them understand, how does the code work? Much more so than literally kind of reading and paging through a green screen to understand the different components of the code. So having a graphical view into your code is critically important. Another is that you should be working with a modern source code management system, or SCM, that really enables DevOps functions. So what does that mean? Well, you should be able to understand what the scope of the coding changes that you're looking at immediately, right? You want to prevent delays from happening in the system. You want to enable concurrent work. Many of you have applications that might be rather large. Maybe it's so large that there's more than one developer that needs to be working on that at the same time. So you want to enable concurrent work. You want to enable multiple developers to be able to check that. And you want to be able to understand what's being worked on and bring that back together. You want to make sure that your source code management system is integrated to all the other tools that are integral to a modern DevOps pipeline. So that means out of the box, they should provide integration capabilities that don't require you or the pipeline architects to build custom code to integrate your SCM into a variety of tools. And I'll talk about that more a bit later. And your source code management tool should be able to reside, on the mainframe or distribute and integrate those two as well. So flexibility and integration and automation and integration are the keys to a modern DevOps source code management system. And that's absolutely part of a modern developer experience. Another is shift left testing. So this is all about finding and fixing bugs as soon as possible, as far left in the development process as you can. Because look, we know that bugs are fixing bugs. Is one of the fastest ways to improving productivity. You want to eliminate bugs to start with, and there are things that you can do with the modern IDE to help you with that. But integrated testing that literally kicks off automation as soon as you save code, or every night at a certain time, and immediate notification so the developers knows immediately if there's a problem in their code, so that again, they can very rapidly get into that particular area, find and fix the problem, so that they can move forward and continue working on the next element of their sprint assignment. Another area here around continuous testing, right? So you want to make sure that you're testing for the individual code, but you want to be able to test at every level as you begin to move that, right? So you want to be able to do that with your data, and that's key as well, right? So to be able to mask your data for test environments, you want to be able to have a subset of your production data. All of that is part of a continuous testing effort, right? So you want to make sure that you've got some tools that help your development team with quality test data that is automatically managed as well, right? That's also a critical component, again, as part of a modern developer experience as well. Another area here is, again, continue to be ruthlessly focused on automation. So, this is really identifying, maybe it's in your sprint retrospectives that you're identifying, where did we spend more time? Where is an area that we see that, we might be able to drive more automation into our process, right? So this is important because you want to eliminate as many manual repetitive tasks as you can. So you can use more automation to handle code quality checks. You can have automation that processes your quality gates. And I know many different clients that I've talked to use that as part of their process as well. And then finally, as I mentioned this earlier, you want to have an automated notification process that also brings the developer right back to the very specific area within their code that has the problem, so that they can be more quick to be able to fix that problem as well. I mentioned earlier that a integrated development environment, should have the ability for you to easily connect all the different components that make up your DevOps tool chain to the tools of choice within your organization as well, right? So you can see here all of the elements of a modern DevOps tool chain, whether you start at the very top, you might be using Jira as a project management process. You may be using Confluence to document your ideas. But the IDE, across the top here, the rectangle, you have IDE tools that should be able to analyze, edit, and manage the code, to be able to validate that, whether you're connecting, and integrating with Veracode or SonarLint. You want to be able to unit test and debugging. All of those things should be integrated. And then as you're dropping down into your continuous integration and continuous deployment, again, to be able to integrate with a variety of different tools, whether it's Git or GitHub or GitLab or Jenkins, all of those things should, again, be working out of the box with your source code management system. So this is just kind of BMC's perspective on the tools that we offer that are part of an integrated development environment that integrate out of the box with a variety of the other enterprise tools that you may be using across your enterprise. Well, you can use those as part of your mainframe inclusive DevOps tool chain as well. So to summarize, I think about this, when we think about today, we're talking about a developer experience, and that's really what it's all about. It's about the developers, right? Developers, it's all about people, and it's about providing them, a great experience, which means a great set of tools and processes that enable them to be more productive and more impactful for your organization. And we believe that improving the development experience is part of creating a stronger culture within your organization, a culture that is really centered around the individuals and the teams of the developer. But moreover, it's about a culture that's delivering new capabilities to your clients. And we believe that you can improve your developer experience with a modern IDE, with a modern source code management system, with more shift left testing, and with a ruthless focus on automation and driving more automation throughout that development process. And when you're putting all of those things together, you will have a world-class modern developer experience. And you'll find, as the stats have proven out, you'll find that you're going to have a much more productive organization that's going to bring higher quality code and capabilities to your end clients. And that's going to benefit your organization and your company. So that's my perspective. So here's maybe a stat that might scare you a little bit. This is from a recent study commissioned by Forrester. And the study said that 79% of developers said their mainframe development tools need significant improvement. So think about that. This is 79%, almost 80% of the developers out there think the tools that they're using today need significant improvement. So we're talking about a modern developer experience. That means most people that might be listening to this call, their developers believe that they're still using older, antiquated technology and tools. So I'd ask, this might be an area of opportunity for you, right? This might be an area as you think about 2023 and making change your advantage. putting an emphasis and focus and a priority around improving the developer experience within your environment could have huge impact and benefit for your organization. So might be something you want to take a look at. And the good news is that 82% of DevOps teams want to prioritize using the same application development tools across both the mainframe and distributed teams. And I'm sharing this with you now because distributed teams are already using a wide variety of modern tools as part of their developer experience. And hopefully what you saw from me was there's no reason that mainframe teams can't use some of those exact same tools today. And from a BMC perspective, we can enable you to do that as we have many organizations around the world. So I thought I might share here at the end a few resources for you. So here's some QR codes that you might want to scan to learn more about how a mainframe DevX, a modern developer experience, helps your organization. So we've got an info brief from IDC that is on delivering a modern developer experience with mainframe DevOps, a really good piece that I'd encourage you to check out. You might want to listen to a podcast and listen to how the modern developer experience from a BMC's perspective. And then another one you might want to check out is a video on improving the mainframe developer productivity and velocity with BMC AMI DevX. So 3 different resources for you to check out to learn more about how you can bring a modern developer experience and have an impact and make change and advantage for your organization in 2023. So with that, I hope you've enjoyed the session today. We'd love to get your feedback. Please use the QR code to provide some feedback. And if you've got questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly or to a member of our BMC team. Thanks so much for joining me today.
So, folks, thank you very much for attending the session. As John mentioned, if you could complete your feedback, that would be greatly appreciated. And apologies for the slight technical challenges right at the start there. We've got it all recorded. We've got the video. It will be loaded up onto Vimeo with all the other sessions. So with that, I'm going to wish you all a excellent last day. Go and enjoy all the sessions. 15 minutes to grab a bit of coffee or breakfast or tea or all of the above. Have a fabulous day. And thank you very much. And thanks to John and the BMC team.